Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take a stack of critical sources and really pull out the insights you need to lead. And today we're digging into something huge: the immense pressure on commercial leaders, on CROs, this crisis of confidence in revenue forecasting. If you're out there trying to drive growth, you know the feeling. The traditional way of forecasting. It feels broken, especially now with volatile markets and this whole everything as a service shift. It's just not keeping up. And it's more than just, getting the number wrong. When those predictions consistently miss, there's a real cost. We're calling it the inaccuracy tax. It's not just theoretical, it's the actual financial hit, the strategic drag that happens when your internal plans just don't match reality.
That's exactly right. And think about what that really means day to day. It's a cascade failure, isn't it? Let's say your forecast is, 15% too optimistic. That's not just an oops moment in a meeting. It means you might overhire sales reps. They come on board, spend 6 months ramping up, maybe hitting 50% efficiency. That's millions, potentially, in wasted salary, training, resources.
Or on the inventory side, if you're dealing with physical goods tied to services.
Right. Huge misalignment. Suddenly, you're scrambling for capital, making painful last-minute decisions because the forecast led you down the wrong path.
It just creates this instability. The C-suite, especially finance, they start looking at the sales forecast and thinking, can we actually rely on this for planning? Often the answer is no.
And what's fascinating, or maybe frustrating, is that the root cause isn't always the people trying their best. It's also in the infrastructure they've inherited. We're kind of stuck in what you could call the lagging indicator trap. Your traditional CRM system. Let's be honest, most legacy systems were designed as passive databases.
Okay. Storage and retrieval, basically.
Exactly. Great for looking up what happened last quarter, useful for a postmortem, but proactive. Predictive, not so much. If your system only tells you what happened or maybe relies on a sales rep manually typing in a probability number, well, you're always looking backward.
You're waiting for the results to tell you the truth instead of having foresight to shape it.
Precisely. You're reacting, not predicting.
Okay, let's unpack this because this really gets to the heart of it. This points to a new mandate for the CRO, doesn't it? If the old tools are reactive, then the leadership focus has to shift dramatically. We need to move away from just inspecting the past, figuring out who to blame after the quarter ends, and move towards proactive coaching, intervention, using real-time signals to see risks before they sink the forecast. So our mission for this deep dive really is to get into the mechanics. How do we actually transform that CRM from a static ledger, a history book, into a dynamic, predictive revenue engine, and crucially, one that's anchored in, let's say, transactional reality and operational trust?
Right. And to build that engine, you have to start with the foundation, which is the data. Sounds obvious, but it's critical. Predictive growth, reliable growth.
Yeah.
It just cannot be built on subjective feelings. A salesperson's optimism, however genuine, isn't a reliable building block for a multi-million-dollar forecast.
Needs to be anchored, in fact.
Transactional fact. Hard, verifiable data. And this is where the quote-to-cash, or QTC, process becomes absolutely essential. It's the data anchor.
Especially, I imagine, in this recurring revenue world we're increasingly living in. Everything as a service models.
Absolutely critical there, because the transaction isn't simple anymore.
So when we say QTC, break that down. It's not just sending an invoice, right?
Oh, not at all. It's the whole life cycle of the deal, end to end. It starts way before the signature. It's configuring the offer. Think about complex bundles, usage tiers, different service levels. Then pricing it correctly based on rules, not guesswork. Generating the proposal, getting the order processed cleanly, handling the invoicing, especially recurring or usage-based billing, which gets complex fast. Managing amendments, changes over the contract life.
And finally, collecting the cash and recognizing the revenue correctly.
Exactly, the full journey.
Okay, so integrating that QTC data directly into the core revenue cloud platform or whatever system you're using, why is that integration so vital? Beyond just, making life easier.
Well, convenience is nice, but it's about integrity, transactional integrity. When QTC is tightly integrated, often using specific CPQ, configure price quote tools, you create audit-ready data points all along that deal journey.
Eliminates the double entry problem.
That's a big one. Redundant data entry is a massive source of errors. Integration kills that. It drastically cuts error rates, especially for complex products where trying to calculate things manually is just asking for trouble. Plus, it automates things like approvals, document generation, making sure the deal going out the door is actually compliant and financially sound from the get-go.
Okay, this is where things get really interesting for me. Because achieving that level of rigor usually requires more than just new software. It often means a RevOps overhaul, revenue operations. It's not just about assigning territories anymore, is it?
Not even close. RevOps has become this crucial strategic discipline. It's about centralizing all the revenue-related functions. Marketing, sales, customer success, finance, pulling them together.
Right from the start, like product definition onwards.
Ideally, yes, because the cost of disconnection is predictability failure. Think about how many companies operate. You've got critical QTC pieces, maybe the official pricing rules or the discount controls, complex approval workflows managed outside the main CRM or revenue system, maybe in spreadsheets, maybe in a separate finance tool.
So the sales team is kind of operating in a bubble.
Effectively, yes. They're outside the controlled financial environment. The deal information, they capture the size, the discount they think they can offer it, might be totally disconnected from reality.
Decoupled from the stuff that really matters downstream, like margin protection rules, or crucially, when you can actually recognize the revenue.
Exactly. A forecast built on that kind of distorted input, it's fundamentally unreliable. It's based on a deal that might not even be possible according to finance or legal rules.
And that fragmentation, it just invites errors, delays, compliance issues.
And ultimately kills the forecast accuracy, systemically.
Which brings us straight to the CFO's office. The CFO's mandate for rigor. They don't just want a big number, they need details.
They manage the P&L, the cash flow. They need absolute clarity. Two things are critical. When is the revenue hitting the books? The timing of recognition. And what's the detailed breakdown of those projected bookings?
An integrated QTC is the only way to give them that reliably.
It's the mechanism. It connects the sales prediction directly to the financial reality. In the subscription world, this is non-negotiable. Your forecast has to break down bookings accurately. Is revenue recognized up front? Is it spread evenly over 36 months? Does it depend on hitting certain use thresholds?
Without that link provided by integrated QTC.
The sales forecast is just an educated guess. It's not something finance can confidently use for capital planning or investor guidance. It lacks that grounding in transactional fact.
Okay, so we've established the bedrock, clean, financially sound data through integrated QTC. But even the best data is useless if the pipeline process itself is, let's say, leaky.
Exactly. You can have perfect data flowing into a broken process, and you still get a bad outcome.
Which brings us to pipeline discipline. And one of the biggest culprits causing chaos here is what you might call the failure of subjective advancement.
Yes. The deal that moves forward based on what? Gut feel. Pressure to make the numbers look good this week. Wishful thinking.
We've all seen it. That deal stuck at like 80% probability for 3 months straight.
The hopium stage. It's a classic. Kept alive by maybe a bit of seller ego, maybe a bit of management fear of facing reality, but it completely undermines pipeline health. Leads to those nasty end-of-quarter surprises.
So the fix here isn't just better intentions, it's hard process discipline, moving away from just tracking activities.
And defining clear, objective, non-negotiable entry and exit criteria for every single stage in your pipeline.
This is where behavioral stage gates come in. Tell us about those.
Think of them like quality control checkpoints. Mandatory inspections, like on a high-precision manufacturing line. They define the specific, objective things that must be true about a deal before it's allowed to advance. No exceptions.
And the core idea is proof.
The behavioral proof requirement. This is key. Deals advance based on verifiable customer actions, things the customer actually did, not just internal seller activity.
Okay, that distinction feels really important. Can you give an example of weak proof versus strong behavioral proof?
Sure. Weak proof is internal. I said the proposal. I had a meeting scheduled. It tells you the seller did something. Strong behavioral proof is customer-centric and verifiable externally. Did the customer confirm the decision maker would attend the key meeting? Did they co-sign a mutual success plan? Is there a documented commitment in writing?
So the framework for a good stage gate asks 3 questions.
Basically, yes. 1. What specific facts must be true about where the customer is in their buying journey? 2. What objective, verifiable evidence proves those facts are true? And 3, who or what validates that evidence? Increasingly, that validation is automated, not just a manager checking a box.
And enforcing this behavioral proof, it tackles those human biases head on, like sandbagging or happy ears.
Directly. Sandbagging, where sellers lowball forecasts to guarantee a win, becomes harder because the system demands proof of progress. And unwarranted optimism, that false hope gets squashed because gut feel isn't enough. You need evidence.
Let's use that example from qualification to proposal stage. How does
Yeah.
that work with behavioral proof?
Okay, so traditionally, maybe the rep just says, okay, I'll write the proposal now. Weak. A strong behavioral gate might require verified participation of the primary decision maker in a deep discovery session. And how do you verify that?
Technology.
Exactly. You can use conversation intelligence tools. Analyze the call recording. Did the DM actually speak? Was there a good back and forth, or did the seller just talk at them? Was a mutual success plan outline actually discussed and verbally agreed upon?
So the tech provides the objective evidence.
Right. And that evidence, automatically captured and analyzed, triggers the stage advancement. Maybe it even automatically adjusts the probability upwards, because now you have real behaviorally backed momentum.
We can potentially speed this up even more by harnessing intent data, right? Those clues about what customers are doing online.
Absolutely. Intent data gives you that early warning system, those signals about buying behavior happening across the web, website visits, content downloads, searches.
You mentioned 4 categories: zero, first, second, third party.
That's right. They offer different layers.
Yeah.
Zero party is data customers give you explicitly, maybe filling out a preference form. First party is their interaction with your digital properties, your website, your emails. Then second party is data shared through partnerships, maybe from a complementary vendor. And third party is the broader view. What are they researching across the entire web, including competitor sites?
And using this strategically means not just collecting it, but acting on it.
Proactively.
Yeah.
Monitoring this lets you spot buying signals sometimes before the customer even reaches out. You can see they're in market researching solutions like yours.
So you prioritize those accounts.
Immediately. Jump on those high-intent accounts. Engage them when their interest is piqued. This can dramatically shorten sales cycles and boost win rates.
But it's more than just prioritizing. You talked about orchestrated engagement. What does that mean?
It means moving beyond just sending out generic campaigns or having static lists. It's about building dynamic, multi-channel playbooks where the outreach, the right email, the specific ad content, maybe a targeted sales call, is triggered instantly based on detecting a specific, relevant intent signal.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you have an account, mid-stage negotiation. Suddenly, third-party intent data shows a spike in them researching a key competitor's pricing page.
Okay, red flag.
Big time. An orchestrated response wouldn't just continue the standard nurture track. It would immediately shift that account to a high-priority intervention playbook. Maybe serve them ads highlighting your TCO advantage. Trigger a task for the account exec to call with specific competitive counterpoints.
So you're connecting the signal directly to an action designed to advance the deal or protect it.
Exactly. You ensure those intent signals don't just sit there. They actively drive progress towards the next behavioral stage gate.
Now, this whole evolution we're describing from subjective guesswork to data-driven discipline, it really hinges on transforming the CRM itself. The paradigm shift, I think, is best understood as the difference between seeing your CRM as just a database versus seeing it as a modern CRM ecosystem.
Okay, database versus ecosystem. What's the core difference there?
A database is fundamentally passive. It's a structured place to store information. It's inert, really. A modern CRM ecosystem, though, that's conceived as a living, breathing system. It's built for relationships, for action, for real-time analysis.
And AI is the engine of transformation that powers that leap, from static storage to dynamic ecosystem.
That's the catalyst. AI is what allows the system to move beyond just being a ledger.
Yeah.
It enables the CRM to interpret complex data streams and, crucially, act on them in real time.
Providing what? Scalable engagement? Decision support? Both. Its primary role becomes interpreting intent and surfacing risk. AI can analyze all those diverse data streams we talked about: product usage, support ticket sentiment using NLP, external intent signals, QTC data, and it can deduce hidden patterns, predict future outcomes. Things like, what's the likelihood this customer will churn? Is there untapped expansion potential here? What's the real, statistically validated probability this deal will close based on comparing it to thousands of similar deals?
Okay, that sounds incredibly powerful. But the practical side, how do you stop the AI from just creating noise? Flagging every minor issue as a major risk. Like, one grumpy support ticket doesn't mean a customer is about to leave, right?
That's a really critical point. It comes down to sophistication in the modeling and the data context. A single grumpy ticket. That's just one data point. A well-trained AI model doesn't just react to isolated events. It uses techniques like natural language processing to analyze the trend in sentiment over time. Is the negativity increasing? And it cross-references that sentiment trend with other factors. Is product usage declining simultaneously? Are they late on payments according to the integrated QTC data?
Ah, so it's the combination of signals.
Exactly. If negative sentiment spikes at the same time as usage drops and payments slow down, that combined pattern gets weighted heavily as a high-risk signal. The system doesn't just blindly tank the health score, it surfaces a nuanced, evidence-based risk alert. Maybe it flags it for the customer success manager, giving them weeks, not days, of lead time to intervene. That's the whole point: predictive, proactive engagement.
So to achieve that level of sophisticated analysis, the underlying data architecture becomes paramount. This integrity imperative you mentioned, it demands a unified data architecture.
Absolutely. Machine learning models, AI, they starve without comprehensive, clean, connected data. Siloed data kills AI projects. You need a central platform, maybe a data lake or a sophisticated revenue cloud platform where all your key enterprise data sources flow together in near real time. Your CRM data, your ERP data, especially with finance and fulfillment, marketing automation, the QTC system we discussed, product usage data, everything.
Because if sales data is here, but contract amendments are over there in the ERP, the AI is flying blind.
It's operating on partial truth, which means its predictions will be flawed. You need that unified view for the AI to see the full picture.
And with that unified view, you can achieve true modeling for precision. This is where the machine learning really shines, right? Finding patterns humans just can't see.
Exactly. Humans are good at linear analysis, maybe looking at a few variables. ML models can analyze hundreds, even thousands simultaneously. They can detect subtle shifts in seasonality that only become apparent when cross-referenced with, say, macroeconomic indicators, or identify nuanced changes in deal velocity based on very specific customer demographics or product combinations.
Using techniques like regression modeling.
Right. Regression models, classification algorithms, time series analysis, they can forecast both the volume, how much, and the timing, when, with increasing accuracy because they learn from vast amounts of historical and real-time data. It's just beyond human scale.
But the tech story doesn't stop at better prediction models. We're moving towards more autonomous systems. You mentioned the rise of AI agents and co-pilots. What's the functional difference there?
Think of it as assistance versus autonomy. AI co-pilots are primarily there to enable seller productivity, massively.
Like an assistant in the CRM.
Sort of, yeah. They allow natural language interaction. A seller can ask the co-pilot to summarize call notes, draft a personalized follow-up email based on the conversation, or even generate an initial quote that's automatically compliant with the stage gate criteria and QTC rules. They assist the human.
Okay. And AI agents.
Agents take it a step further. There are more autonomous applications designed to handle complex systemic tasks without direct human initiation for each action. An agent might continuously monitor key pipeline metrics for anomalies, automatically consolidate data from different sources for reporting, or even update predictive models as new data flows in. And critically, for the integrity piece we keep coming back to, AI agents can enforce architectural integrity via protocol.
How does an agent enforce something? Does it just send alerts?
It can take action. Imagine an AI agent integrated across your CRM, QTC, and ERP systems. Let's say a deal passes a key behavioral stage gate, verified by conversation intelligence. The agent can automatically trigger the creation of a compliant, fully costed, quote, directly within the ERP system, using the approved pricing and configuration rules from the QTC system. No manual reentry, no chance for error.
Or block things that aren't compliant.
Exactly. If a sales rep tries to advance a deal without meeting a mandatory stage gate requirement, maybe the mutual success plan isn't uploaded. The agent can automatically freeze that deal's progression. It might flag it for manager review, requiring the missing data to be provided before it can move forward.
So the AI isn't just predicting, it's actively ensuring the process rules and data flows are followed.
Yes. It guarantees adherence to standards across potentially disparate systems. This is how technology becomes an active participant in maintaining the foundational integrity needed for that predictable forecast.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's assume we've done all that. We have clean data, disciplined stages, AI helping out. We get a predictable sales number. Are we done?
I suspect not, because predicting you'll sell something is different from actually being able to deliver it, right?
Precisely. A sales forecast, no matter how accurate, becomes meaningless, even damaging, if the organization doesn't have the operational capacity to fulfill the demand it represents. This brings us to the critical alignment of forecasting versus demand planning.
And traditionally, these are often silos, aren't they? Sales focuses on maximizing bookings, maybe gets a bonus for it. Operations focuses on managing costs, inventory, efficiency.
It's a classic disconnect. Sales forecasting predicts the potential revenue, the numbers. Demand planning is the discipline that integrates those predictions with the reality of procurement, supply chain constraints, production schedules, staffing levels, ensuring supply can actually meet demand efficiently.
And the operational risk of inaccuracy here is huge.
Massive. If your sales forecast is too high and disconnected from operations, you overproduce, tie up capital and inventory, maybe hire too many implementation staff. If it's too low, you stock out, miss delivery dates, frustrate customers, potentially incur contract penalties.
So the old model sales throws a number over the wall to ops has to go.
It has to. We need to flip the script. It must become mandatory that operational constraints are inputs into the sales forecast.
So sales can't just operate in that vacuum anymore.
No. The forecast can't ignore potential bottlenecks. Are there known shortages of critical components? Is the shipping network already strained? Do we have enough certified technicians to handle the implementation pipeline forecasted for Q3, especially in the services and subscription world?
Ignoring those doesn't make them go away. It just leads to a fictional forecast.
A forecast the organization literally cannot execute on.
So how do we make this real? How do operational constraints mechanically adjust the sales forecast within the system?
It happens through a formalized cross-functional process.
Yeah.
Usually the sales and operations planning S&OP process. And RevOps plays a key role in integrating this with the CRM and the forecasting models.
Okay. So S&OP identifies a bottleneck.
Yeah.
What then?
Let's say the S&OP analysis reveals a clear capacity gap. Maybe logistics flags limitations in shipping capacity to a certain region next quarter.
Huh.
Or the professional services team calculates they're already booked at 110% utilization based on deals already closed and those highly likely to close. That finding must trigger a risk signal back into the CRM and the AI forecasting model. It's not just FYI.
It has to adjust the prediction.
Yes. The system needs to be configured so that this operational risk signal automatically adjusts, for instance, the predicted win rate downwards for deals dependent on that constrained resource. Or it might lengthen the predicted sales cycle time for those deals, pushing the revenue into a later period.
So you get a single reality-checked number.
Exactly. The forecast then reflects not just the customer's intent to buy, but the organization's proven ability to actually deliver on that promise. That's the crucial linkage.
Now, for businesses really focused on recurring revenue SaaS, subscriptions, anything as a service predicting the continuity of that revenue is just as important as predicting new bookings. This means moving beyond activity counting for renewals and towards advanced deal health scoring.
Absolutely. Renewals aren't automatic. They need the same, if not more, strategic discipline as acquiring a new customer. And predicting churn requires a much richer data set than just looking at the contract end date.
You need to synthesize multiple key health components.
Right. We're talking about combining insights from product usage analytics. Are they actually using the features they pay for? How frequently? Are licenses sitting idle? Then, customer sentiment indicators, NPS scores, are one piece, but also using NLP to analyze the sentiment trends in support tickets, online reviews, survey feedback.
And connecting that to the hard numbers.
Yes, the core business metrics. What's their payment history like from the QTC system? What's the contract value trend? Are they growing or shrinking? What's their overall history with you?
And AI models crunching all this data, they can get really good at predicting churn.
Highly effective. ML models trained on this aggregated data can often predict churn probability with remarkable accuracy, sometimes weeks or even months before the customer themselves might realize they're unhappy or looking elsewhere.
Which enables proactive engagement.
Exactly. The customer success team isn't blindsided. They're not waiting until 30 days before renewal to check in. The system flags a high-risk customer cluster based on declining usage and dipping sentiment, and CS can intervene early. Maybe with targeted training, maybe an executive check-in, maybe offering a different package better suited to their needs. It turns retention from reactive firefighting into a proactive, data-driven strategy.
This all sounds like a massive, complex system, integrated QTC, behavioral gates, AI, S&OP links. But you stressed earlier that this isn't just a technology problem. Forecasting accuracy reflects culture.
It's fundamentally a human system enabled by technology. And that brings us to the leadership framework for trust. Technology doesn't work if people don't trust the process or each other. The trust imperative is paramount. Leaders have to actively cultivate psychological safety. People need to feel secure enough to share bad news early, to admit a deal is looking shaky or that they made a mistake without fearing immediate punishment.
Because if they hide the bad news,
they poison the data. They hold on to that hopium deal we talked about until the last minute, because they're scared. And that destroys the integrity of the whole predictive engine. Transparency, even when it's uncomfortable, is essential for making timely corrections.
So this discipline, this trust, it needs to be formalized at the top.
It has to be institutionalized. Yeah. A formal revenue council is often the mechanism. This brings together the key stakeholders regularly: the CRO, the CFO, the head of operations.
And RevOps acts as the glue.
RevOps is the integrator. They translate the strategy decided by the council into the actual processes, the stage gate definitions, the QTC rules, the AI model requirements. They optimize the tech stack to support the strategy. This council needs a clear operating rhythm. Maybe weekly revenue huddles focused on near-term execution, bi-weekly deep dives specifically on AI's surfaced risks and opportunities, and that absolutely critical monthly S&OP meeting to formally reconcile the sales demand forecast with the operational fulfillment plan.
Makes the cross-functional discipline non-negotiable.
Exactly. It's mandated, reviewed, and refined continuously.
Okay, so we've invested heavily, we've built the integrated systems, defined the processes, deployed the AI, fostered the culture. How do we actually know if it's working? Not just hitting the number, but is the underlying behavior changing? Is it driving sustainable, profitable growth?
A great question. We need to measure more than just forecast accuracy variance. We need something like a predictive revenue culture scorecard. This goes beyond standard KPIs to quantify the cultural behavioral dimensions that actually underpin predictability.
What kind of dimensions are we talking about?
We need leading indicators of forecast efficacy. Two really important ones are the agility culture edge and revenue per employee, RPE.
Agility culture edge. What's that measure?
It's assessing the workforce's capacity and willingness to adapt quickly to new ways of working.
Yeah.
How readily do teams embrace these new, sometimes more complex workflows? Things like using AI-augmented tools consistently, or adhering strictly to the new QTC compliance checks, or collaborating effectively in that S&OP process.
And why is that so critical? Isn't tracking adoption of the tools enough?
Agility is the precursor to meaningful adoption and data integrity. If the culture is resistant to change, if sellers find the new QTC process too bureaucratic or the stage gates too restrictive and they start creating manual workarounds, then your adoption metrics might look okay on the surface, but the quality of data flowing into your predictive models degrades.
So low agility means the fancy AI models are running on incomplete or dirty data.
Precisely, which makes the predictions less accurate, undermining the whole point. The Agility Scorecard helps you identify and address those human friction points that technology alone can't solve.
And then revenue per employee, RPE. Linking this back to the bottom line.
RPE becomes a much more powerful indicator of true efficiency in a RevOps mature organization than just looking at individual sales quotas. It validates the return on these strategic investments. If we're implementing AI to automate administrative tasks, standardizing processes with QTC for better compliance, and aligning sales with ops for better fulfillment, RPE should be climbing steadily. Why? Because each employee is becoming more productive. Sellers spend more time selling. Deals are cleaner and more profitable. Fulfillment is smoother. It measures the overall leverage you're getting from the entire system, human and machine.
So the scorecard needs specific metrics across these domains.
Definitely. You need granular tracking. Things like data integrity. What percentage of opportunities actually meet all the mandatory stage gate criteria? Forecasting trust. Track the forecast to actual delta variance over time, obviously. Operational alignment. What's the gap between the demand forecast and the actual fulfillment capacity achieved? Predictive capability. How accurate are the AI model's predictions? Especially for things like renewal probability.
These cultural and process metrics, they're the leading indicator.
They absolutely are. They predict the long-term health and success of your entire predictive revenue engine far better than just looking at the final revenue number for one quarter.
Okay, finally, to make all this stick, it can't just be a big project that then fades away. The discipline needs to be embedded. You mentioned operationalizing forecast discipline through something like a readiness review.
Yes. Think of it like a production readiness review, or PRR, that you'd use before launching a major piece of software. It needs to be a formal gating mechanism. Call it the Forecast Readiness Checklist. It involves mandatory auditable checks across key areas before the forecast is finalized and presented upwards, say, to the board or investors.
What are the key domains for that checklist?
I'd say three main ones. First, planning and contingency.
Which means?
Revisit the staffing plans, the inventory projections based on the latest S&OP data, but also crucially, have you defined contingency procedures? What's the plan if a key system goes down? What's the response if a sudden market shock hits mid-quarter? It's not just predicting the likely outcome, it's planning for potential deviations.
Okay, second domain.
System reliability and data integrity. This is about checking the machine itself. Audit the critical revenue systems, CRM, QTC, ERP integrations. Ensure the data is flowing correctly in near real time. Perform necessary maintenance. Confirm QTC compliance rules are being enforced. Run data hygiene checks in the CRM. You verify that the technological foundation is solid right now.
Makes sense. And the third domain.
Process optimization. This is the check on the human and AI processes. Are deals actually complying with the stage gate criteria? No ghost opportunities cluttering the pipeline. And critically, have you validated the AI model's performance recently? Check for model drift. Has its accuracy degraded as market conditions changed? You need to confirm the model is still reliable before you bet the company's resources on its predictions.
So this formal checklist, it moves forecasting from a potentially rushed end-of-month exercise
To a continuously verified, operationally robust process. It ensures readiness across people, process, and technology before you commit to that number.
Well, this has been quite the deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground on building that truly predictable revenue engine. Let's quickly recap the core mandates. 1. Anchor everything in transactional fact. Get that QTC data integrated and clean. It's your foundation.
2. Enforce those behavioral stage gates. Eliminate the subjective guesswork, kill the hopium, base progression on verifiable customer actions.
3. Leverage AI. Use co-pilots to boost seller productivity, but use AI agents to autonomously monitor, predict, and importantly, enforce architectural and process integrity.
4. Align the sales forecast with operational reality. Use the S&OP process to ensure your forecast reflects your actual ability to deliver. Get that reality check number.
And 5. Build that culture of trust and agility. Use a cultural scorecard to measure it, foster psychological safety, and formalize cross-functional discipline through something like a revenue council.
Absolutely. And this whole transformation, it really speaks to the core challenge and opportunity of the everything as a service economy, doesn't it? It's about shifting from chasing disconnected, one-time deals to building a system for continuous, predictable value. It fundamentally reshapes how sales, finance, and operations need to work together, replacing that costly guesswork with verifiable, data-driven foresight.
So here's a final thought to leave you, our listeners, with. If the ultimate goal is perfect predictability, and we've established that cultural agility, the human element, is absolutely essential for the technology to even work properly,
Then the provocative question is this. What is the single biggest cultural assumption, maybe about control or risk or transparency, that your leadership team needs to abandon right now, today, to unlock the full potential of AI-driven forecasting? Perhaps it's the assumption that trust can simply be mandated, rather than painstakingly earned through consistent, transparent action.
something to definitely mull over.
That's the challenge. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.